crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but you know, the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
Be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, you know, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to power in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogey, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
Ferrall has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
It's Ferrall coast to coast in the biggest way possible right here on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us on a Tuesday. Carver High in for Scotty. The Prime Minister, Cam Stewart, joins me momentarily. Very big show today. Of course, last night we finished off the NBA season. Celtics get rid of the Mavericks. Tonight, the Stanley Cup Final could be on the brink with the Panthers and the Oilers. We have a lot of baseball tonight. We've got the golf this week. Very, very busy Tuesday C2C coming your way. And who's going to be joining us? Well, Gabe Morency joins us all the time. He's here in hour number 1. We'll have Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News as well. Dennis Bernstein, Denny Elvis in the house from South FLA, getting himself ready for tonight's game number 5. We'll have the Lion's Share in hour number 2. Tater time in the Lion's Share today. Get ready for that. And Smiley Kaufman, of course, who does the Smiley Show here on SportsGrid and was with the Rory Group during the U.S. Open on Sunday. That incredible finish. I can't wait to talk to Smiley about all of that. As I mentioned, we do have with us today, normally Joe, no Joe today. He'll be back with me on the radio tonight. But the Prime Minister is in the house on a Tuesday, the great Cam Stewart here along with me. Hi, Cam. How are you?
Thank you, Carver. Well, the great. I didn't see that one coming. I got a lot of action in the afternoon, Carver. You know I wouldn't be filling in for Joe if we didn't have bets. Let's go to soccer. That Turkey game was a sweat job. We took Turkey -10 when it was tied again, put another log on the fire. They win 2-1, but man, Georgia had a lot of chances at the end of that game. Right now, under 2.5, Portugal, Czech Republic. I got exact score 1-1 plus 750, and I'm on the Czech Republic right now and the draw. So hopefully a 1-1 final would suit me just fine.
All right. You know what, Cam? Let's root it in then. Little 1-1 between Portugal and the Czechs this afternoon over at the Euros. So I'm fine with that. Yesterday I was on Mbappe. Of course, now he's got a busted nose and he's not even going to play the next game against the Netherlands. So that's a bad scene there. You mentioned Turkey beat Georgia 3-1. They were feisty, Cam, not just on the field. They were feisty in the stands, too. The Turkey and the Georgia fans. First time Georgia's ever been in a major competition, and they reached the finals, I should say, of a major competition like the Euros or the World Cup. And their fans are having themselves a good time. So we will have, now we will definitely be keeping our eyes on that soccer match this afternoon for Cam, and we can get himself that 1-1 home. We got plenty of other stuff to go as well, Cam, including the Celtics closing the book on the 23-24 NBA season last night. They dispatched the Mavericks in 5 games. Ferrall said it yesterday, Cam, and I kind of agreed with him. He thought that the Celtics were just going to smash them and be done with it, that they took the night off in Game 4, wanted to win it at home. And sure enough, Cam, that's what they did. And I know it seemed like they weren't getting a lot of credit for what they were doing during the playoffs. This team was missing that guy. They smashed this team. They smashed everybody. The entire season. They were favorites before the season. And you don't typically see that anymore in these major sports, right? The preseason favorite going all the way to the end. But the Celtics were that good, and they deserved it.
They do. And I know they played the Pacers. They were a little bit beat down, but you can only play who's on the schedule, right, Carver? And Joe Mazzulla did a great job with that team. They basically took the pedal off the metal against Dallas. You knew, that night things are happening. And that's why I like to bet when teams are up 3-0 against the sweep. I actually learned my lesson with the Florida game when Edmonton pounded them. But it just seems like teams a lot of the time, they just can't. They seem to have that one bad game. But Boston got it done, and they murdered them. You said it. It was not even a close fight. And Dallas looked beat down at the end of the series. Kudos to the Celtics, the city of champions, Carver. What can you say? I wish I was a Boston sports fan because my teams never win. All they do is win.
The amount of success that city has had. Now, look, I know that the Celtics were really good, obviously, in the 70s and 80s. Yep. Celtics were outstanding. But the overall success, Cam, that city since the year 2000, between the Patriots, the Celtics, the Red Sox, the Bruins have chipped in one, that year that they beat Vancouver. They're lagging behind everybody else now since the turn of the century, but tremendous job by them. No doubt about it. They left no doubt whatsoever, and they rightfully go. Did you have a problem with Brown winning the MVP, Cam? I saw some people were all stuffy about that last night, but
really,
I saw a few people thought that it should have been Tatum.
Shut up. Brown played great, like he deserved it. And when the guy's laying 220, the books are telling you this guy's going to win the MVP. It's not like a secret or anything like that, right? Like they post a number like that. It's different in hockey because like Bobrovsky and Barkov are almost a pick 'em now. But you knew Brown was going to get it, Carver. You knew.
The weird thing, Cam, about those now they give you those live odds while the games are going on for those MVPs. So at one point last night in the third quarter or early in the fourth, they actually moved Tatum to like minus 550 live to win the MVP at one point, and Brown ends up winning it. So a really tremendous job by them. Like we said, Cam, we do have a chance to close out the other sport tonight. That would be the NHL. We have a Game 5 down in Sunrise between the Oilers and the Panthers. Of course, the Panthers were looking for the sweep on Saturday night. Oilers a big 8-1 effort. Cam, look, I thought going into yesterday, of the teams that were down 3-1, I gave the Oilers a little bit more of a chance than the Mavericks to be able to force that 6th game. But the one thing that has kind of just been laying with me, and it probably means nothing, and I'm a big stickler for stuff like this, those guys in the Panthers want no part of that 3,500-mile trip back to Alberta. I mean, they want nothing to do with that, Cam.
You said it. And that's the thing. You can't screw around, and they did. And now you have to go back home and deal with this situation. I'm going to tell you something, Carver. Florida, and we played hockey, me and Gabe talk about it. When you get beat down the way they did, you come out angry as hell. Bobrovsky's going to be ready and focused in this game, but Edmonton, they got a little bit of life. If Edmonton finds a way to win this game, we might be going to Game 7. So Florida's got to take care of business immediately tonight and win. I have futures on Boston. We hit those. I have futures with Florida, and I have them parlayed. So I know I'm the prime minister, but you know what? Actually, but the thing is, I have Florida in 6 as well, Carver. So after the show, I got to get on the calculator and find out what do I do with Edmonton tonight because I have Florida futures. But got to do the math, buddy. I like the Cats tonight.
That's what we got to do sometimes, Cam, and I like that. You've positioned yourself really well here in both the NBA and the NHL, that you've got a lot of options, and I always love having that. I, of course, probably put too many eggs in the basket of the Dallas Stars, and they ruined all of my futures for me.
I did too. Remember, I had the Stars and Cats. Like, the Stars screwed me out. Like, it would have been perfect, right?
I had the Stars, Cam, with everybody. Right. I had the Stars with the Celtics. I had the Stars with the Mavericks. I had the Stars, and with the Stars, I had the Stars exacta over Florida. I had the Stars so many different ways that unfortunately that when they lost, my future run, Cam, left with it. So we will talk about the Oilers and the Panthers game number 5 tonight. We have a full slate of baseball, some really good games tonight.
Yes.
We've got some spots with some big totals, which we always like to see. So 15 games in Major League Baseball. We will go through all of that. And Cam, tomorrow we'll give the picks, of course. You're always with me on a Golf Wednesday as we'll get ready for the Travelers Championship this week. But I'm sure at some point me and you will discuss, because I have not spoken to you since Sunday with Rory and Bryson and that unbelievable finish and the heavyweight fight, the back and forth,
Proud of
and
you.
Rory missing those putts on 16 and 18. That was an unbelievable finish, Cam.
It was. We had Bryson. You got a better number. Kudos to him. He was great down the stretch, and that guy iced it. Rory, on the other hand, what's going to happen to him? Is this a mental block? It could either guide him and propel him, but the way things are going, man, how do you get over something like that? That was a gag job. It was hard to watch.
It's funny, Cam. When he sped out of that parking lot, and I said it to Scott yesterday before the announcement even came, I said, I guarantee you he's hopping the Big Bird back across the or back to Florida. He ain't going to the Travelers this week. And sure enough, he is not going to go to TPC River Highlands and play at the Travelers this week. I don't blame him. Ferrall Coast to Coast here on a Tuesday. Carver High and Cam in for Scotty. We'll come back, get it rolling on the grid right after this.
Crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but you know, the Cleeks have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
I mean, the summer of the Cleeks, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, you know, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to power in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogey, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
Oh, what's up? You watching the game? Or maybe the one later? Put a little BetMGM action on it, and now any game becomes the game. When you got overs and unders, you're in it every time they throw the ball, kick the ball, dribble the ball. Maybe it's not even a ball.
Who needs a ball?
Now that bet's got you watching every inning, half, round, period, set, hole, a lap. Right from the edge of your seat. Hit him with the promo.
And we are back for Coast to Coast here on a Tuesday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us. Of course, Gabe Morency's with us every day on C2C. You can catch Sports Rage late night weeknights at 10 p.m. East right here on the grid. All right, Gabe, a couple of things before we get to the hockey tonight. I saw you just tweeting about, and then you mentioned to me, I guess Michigan, people were wondering what would happen with Michigan when Harbaugh went back to the NFL and went to Los Angeles. Would the recruiting be the same? Well, so far, Gabe, it looks like Moore's done a pretty good job getting some big guys in there.
Not only that, he's actually Michigan are getting higher ranked guys than they have in past years. Michigan aren't loaded with 5-star guys. Like, I know people hear the term five-star gets tossed around a lot, but like Michigan's championship team, a lot of 3-star guys, right? Couple of 4-star guys. It's not easy. Like, people don't realize. Like, even Alabama only have we're getting 7 5-star guys or something like that. But a big get for Michigan. Brady Hart, quarterback out of Florida. 1-year starter, Carver, 14-1, won the Florida State title. Not bad. LSU, Clemson, amongst others, big front runners for Ohio State. So a lot of big-time programs. And as you stated, that was my little concern. We know Moore can coach, bro. We saw Moore coach, right? Moore coached half the season last year. Harbaugh wasn't there for half the year. And a lot of big-time games. Ohio State. Penn State. I could go on. So we know Moore can coach within games. We know he can call plays, but it's all that, can he do it with his own players, right? We see this in college football. Can he do it with his own players after? And there's still some holdovers, but there's been absolutely zero drop-off in recruiting. And if anything, the championship has helped, Mike, to be honest. And on top of that as well, if you'll notice, there was no rash of transfers or anything when Harbaugh left. No one left. The only people that left Michigan, that transferred out of Michigan, Carver, were players that realized, I'm not going to play. I'm third string, it's not going anywhere, and I'll be better off just going and playing somewhere else where I'll play. It wasn't I'm out of here because of Moore, but can't wait for college football, Carver. A lot of great stuff. Notre Dame Fighting Irish take on Texas A&M. Feels like this game is rapidly approaching, and week 0. Can't wait for this stuff.
That's the thing. Once I feel like, Gabe, this is the week where we turn the corner, right? When we get the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Finals in the rearview mirror and we close the book on those seasons. Yeah, we got baseball, and we're lucky this summer we got Euros and Copa, and, me and Cam love the golf. We get involved with that. But really when those end is when we could start to zero in on those college football and those NFL games and the futures for those two sports, and we start really looking ahead to the football season, which is just weeks away. And it's funny because I was going to bring this up with you also, and it was something else you mentioned, and that's with the hockey. They got to, and me and you plant the flag for this all the time. We get on the NHL about how they schedule things and what they do. They can't play till June 24th or whatever it is. They got to end the hockey a little bit earlier. Find a way. I know they don't want to shorten 82 games, but ending this late, honestly, is bad for them.
And there's a lot of talk in Canada. The numbers aren't quite as good as they have been in past years. And quite frankly, a good example. I didn't watch the game on Saturday night. I didn't see the 8-1 game. I was out. I was at a CFL football game. You know what I mean? It's summertime. I'm moving on with my life. And all they have to do, it's very simple. Just move the start of the season up. Just move the start of the season up 2 weeks. Very simple. Yeah. You guys they start now early October 4th, October 5th, whatever, in that range. Start September 15th. And then you'll actually end the cup by, end of May. I remember I went to the Stanley Cup Finals. It was during the pandemic, and that was sort of their excuse. Dude, I went to a Stanley Cup final game. It was July 2nd. Okay,
Montreal.
Because I remember I was wearing a jersey. I couldn't wear the jersey outside. I was carrying it. I put it on when I went in. I was like, damn, it's hot out here. It was July. It was wow, it's the pandemic. What's the excuse now? There's no excuse now.
Yeah,
we're only
at
game 5 right now. What if we go 7? What are we doing?
It would be Monday. It would be Monday if it went 7 games because the travel is so hellacious. They needed the 2 days off between each game.
Dude, you got problems, Mike. When the Stanley Cup Finals is about to collide with the Summer Olympics, okay? Because the Summer Olympics are about to start.
Yep.
Look, I'm watching the Euro Cup right now. It's soccer. It's summertime.
Are you? We'll do the picks. We'll do the picks for the hockey after. You brought up the Euros. Cam's on this 1-1 draw with Portugal and the Czechs this afternoon. Do you got anything cooking for me in the soccer here?
I'm a big under better normally when I bet on soccer, but this one I went over 2.5 actually. And I took the Czech Republic plus 1.5 goals. It was like minus, 155, 160 type of deal to do it. But I think they're going to be competitive. Both these teams were dominant. Portugal were dominant in the qualifying. They played like Luxembourg and stuff. Like they were in a really bad group. So I'm not taking anything away from them. They're world class, obviously. And, in the Czech Republic, same thing. They look good in their qualifying, but they were in a weaker group as well. So let's see them play head-to-head right now. But I'm still expecting this match to open up a little bit. But one thing I'll say, and watching it, it's starting to come down pretty hard right now. It's raining, like pretty hard. Like I said, we saw this. It's been raining throughout Germany in a lot of these games. And, man, like it's soccer, bro. It doesn't help when there's like a heavy rain like blowing into these guys' faces as far as like the play is concerned.
I'm a little nervous, Gabe. I got that Mbappe plus 450 to win the Golden Boot. I know they say it's only going to be one game. I know. I'm hoping if it's only one game and they go deep, I think I still got a shot. But I don't believe them that it's only going to be one game. I think that's the problem.
What killed you? Not the game. That he missed the breakaway yesterday.
That was
like
brutal.
That's the one. Because you already had a goal in your back pocket. You'd be like, okay, it's good.
When it comes to betting on sports, injuries matter, and Sports Injury Central has you covered all year long with expert injury analysis and injury-based picks for the NFL, NBA, and MLB. Our former pro sports doctors have unmatched experience to analyze every injury so you know the impact of the player, team, and their upcoming matchup. Whether it's articles, podcasts, player insights, or our patented injury scores, Sports Injury Central will help you keep up with your fantasy team and make more informed wagers. So make sure you follow Sports Injury Central and gain an edge at sixscore.com.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
And we are back for El Coast to Coast here on a Tuesday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid at SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. Of course, Gabe Morency's with us every day on C2C. Catch him on Sports Rage late night, weeknights at 10 p.m. East, right here on the grid. All right, Gabe, Game 5, Oilers, Panthers, Sunrise, Florida tonight. Panthers now at this very moment, minus $1.45, plus 120 for the Oil. Still a 5.5. Of course, they cleared that. Finally in game number 4. What do you think tonight? Are we going back to Alberta?
I actually do. I think we're going back to Alberta. I think the drama is going to continue. I think the Edmonton Oilers have found themselves a little bit here. I went over some numbers yesterday. If you believe in history and synergy, as far as the Edmonton Oilers are concerned, and the Oilers coming off of 3-game losing streaks this year. And it really is incredible the runs that they've gone on. November the 24th to December the 12th, early in the season, they had a 3-game losing streak. They won 8 games in a row. Then they lost 3 games in a row, and they won 16 games in a row. They lost 3 games in a row, and then they won 5 games in a row. So here we are. They're on a 3-game losing streak. So they have one more run left in them. Because there's one thing. The Oilers have been incredibly streaky this year, right? I mean, dude, they were 5-12 to start the season. You know what I mean? Like, they were 5-12. They've gone on, they've gone on an 8-0 run, a 16-0 run, and a 5-0 run. Just saying, just throwing that out there right now. So they are capable. Now, again, it's against the same team, so it's going to be a little bit trickier. This is the one that I like a lot. That the fact that only one team's ever come back from 0-3 in the Stanley Cup Finals before. The 1942 Toronto Maple Leafs. And get this. So the Oilers' 8-1 win, Carver, was the largest margin of victory. I told Ferrall this. Their 8-1 win was the largest margin of victory by an NHL team facing elimination in Stanley Cup history. Previous record, the Toronto Maple Leafs, 9-3 win in 1942. I like this.
Wow.
We're going back. Come back in 40, you know what I mean? Big blowout win. I saw Mark Messier this morning doing an interview with McAfee. And, it's the one thing that Messier knows. I don't think he watches the league on a nightly basis as far as a national analyst is concerned, but there's one thing he does know about is winning. And he said, he goes, guys, you have no idea how much pressure there is on the Panthers. He goes, people think, the Oilers are under pressure. He goes, they're kind of not. And you know what I mean, Mike? They're playing with house money right now. Everyone laughed at the coach Knobloch when he said, we know we can beat these guys. Well, no, you can't, right? Well, now they did. And they smoked them. Now, if you're the Panthers, that little seed, you know what it's like even being a fan. Man, if we lose this game, we got to go back there. And what if we lose that? Then it's a game 7. And Messier himself said that starts to pop in your mind when you're a player. That, damn, this was just 3-0. We were about to win. And now we're going to go back to Edmonton for a game 6. So, it's in their heads. I tell you what, the other night, too, I knew the Panthers were doomed. Number one, there hasn't been a sweep in the Stanley Cup Final since 1998, okay? So there's never sweeps in the Stanley Cup Final. But I saw, Carver, that the Panthers were flying in all the relatives from all over the place so they could be there for the celebration on Saturday night. And I was like, okay, you're sort of, it's that seed is already planted where you start to think ahead. It's going to be deja vu all over again. The parties will be planned. The hotel is planned. The nightclub is planned. Everything is planned to win again. The Oilers can pull the carpet out from underneath once again. I say they do. I think Connor McDavid steps up tonight, and he shows everybody. This is where it gets real, Carver. The McDavid legend could grow right now. Win tonight because of you. Go out there, score an early goal, carry this hockey team. I think they win tonight. I've talked myself into this. I thought the Oilers could play with these guys, and I believe they will win this hockey game tonight.
Yeah, look, I said to Cam before, I gave going into yesterday the Oilers a much better chance to extend than the Mavericks. I thought that they had a much better shot. I just feel like Florida tonight, for those opposite reasons, like you say, they got the family there. Do they really want to get back on that plane? I know that we probably make a bigger deal about that game than it actually matters. Are they really sitting around thinking about that? I think for this trip they are. I think for this trip, they are sitting around thinking about that long flight back to Alberta.
Well, they will be an urgent team tonight on the plus side for the Panthers. They will be urgent because they know they came back on the Boston Bruins last year down 3-1.
3-1.
Like, they know.
3-1.
It's not like, this can't happen. We did it. We know it can happen.
You got any baseball? Quickly, Gabe, 10 seconds. Any baseball tonight? Give me one baseball. Give me one baseball play.
I'll ride the Dodgers at Coors again. Why not?
Hey, they smashed them last night. No bets, no problem. They took care of it.
They'll be fine without bets for a little while.
Sports Rage late night, 10 p.m. East here on the Grid.
crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but you know, the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
Be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, you know, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to power in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogey, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
We are back, Ferrall, coast to coast here on a Tuesday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us. Of course, we have Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News with us every week here on C2C. Mike, good to see you as always, my man. Happy Tuesday. Why don't we start with the NBA season, the book being closed last night. The Boston Celtics, 5 games over the Dallas Mavericks. And really, Mike, I know there was a lot of people throughout the last couple months, they haven't played anybody, and this guy was hurt, and that guy was hurt, and this guy was hurt. And Mike, they won 80 games this year. That's pretty darn good when you talk about it. You had a column a few days ago about Tatum and all the flack that he's gotten throughout the years. I guess, Mike, that's got to stop for a little bit now.
Well, I would certainly hope so, Mike. And the more I've thought about this, as I look at what he is as a player, where he excels, the coverage of him has bothered me more and more because we're looking at a player who is not a elite, dynamic athlete, not a run jump guy like just about everybody else who's been a superstar at that position since I was a kid, going back to Dr. J, Dominique Wilkins, that sort of player. You carry that all the way through to Kobe Bryant, et cetera. And all those players had that A-plus dynamism. And he doesn't have that, Jason doesn't. He thinks the game at an elite level, and he finds where he can be elite. And that's usually by multiplying through different categories, points, rebounds, assists. He finds a way to be extraordinary. And I don't think people are used to seeing a player like him do those things. And that bothers me that's what they're stumbling on. Why can't he just be a smaller Larry Bird or something like that? Why can't he be that and be exceptional? I got back when I complained about him not being the finals MVP from some people. Well, he didn't play that great a defense. Well, I mean, come on. I mean, Larry Bird was Michael Jordan on D? No. I mean, he was a very intelligent player, a very gifted player, a very skillful player who managed to supersede his defensive limitations. And that's exactly what Jason Tatum is. Not as tall as Larry. He's not as physically rugged. but there's a lot of Larry Bird in Jason Tatum's game.
There certainly is. And look, I thought it was close last night. I know that a lot of the live betting markets had Tatum as the favorite at the start of the fourth quarter to win the NBA Finals MVP. Jaylen Brown ends up getting it off him, so Jaylen Brown does the double. He gets the East Finals MVP and the NBA Finals MVP. And I think he probably didn't have as much, coming out of college, obviously Tatum going to Duke. There was so much hype behind him. Jaylen Brown, though, Mike, really not the same as the third pick coming out of Cal. Are you surprised that now where his level has risen to, because he also caught a little bit of, well, he's not as good as these other guys. He's at the top of the mountain, and with those two pieces of hardware to go with it.
There was a lot of conversation about him when he signed his massive contract. Was he worth it? Well, I think you have the answer now. He kept them. First of all, he placed them into a position by teaming with Tatum as a consistent deep playoff contender. And that's what you want as a franchise. You want to be a deep playoff contender. I was surprised by the number of people. There was a little video that went around on Twitter yesterday. One of the Celtics accounts not the official Celtics, but a Celtics-centric account put together this video of 5 minutes of the media being wrong about the Celtics. And one of the things that really blew me away was the number of people who said that Jaylen Tatum and Jason were too similar as players. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were too similar as players. Maybe their names are too similar to be able to pronounce them both in the same sentence, but their games are nothing alike. Jaylen is that A-plus athlete, and he is a guy who can spot up and make a three, and you can feel really confident about it. That's not really Jason's role. He's more of a playmaker, a rebounder, a scorer in a lot of different ways. Brown was able to defend at an exceptional level. I think that's what made the difference for him in the voting. But they both are terrific together. And I'm not promising they're going to be some sort of modern dynasty. But I'll tell you this, I feel really confident that as long as they continue to make the kinds of moves that bring in players like Drew Holiday and Derek White into the organization, they're going to continue to contend. And you can't ask for any more than that. You'd like to maybe win another before these guys age out, but you can't ask to win 4 in a row every time. And not every great team or great franchise is going to do that.
And it seems like, Mike, the NBA's also gone away from that now, right? This is our 6th different champion in 6 consecutive years, whereas the NBA was always known as a league where a team got dominant for 4 or 5 years. Warriors, Bulls, Lakers, Spurs. Teams would win and they would win. The Heat, when LeBron was there, they'd win 3 or 4 in a 5-year span. I think there's more, the word they all love, parity now. To have 6 different winners in 6 years, it's kind of what Adam Silver and the NBA have been wanting for a while, and they have it now.
I think that comes from having a collection of great players, but no dominant player. I obviously Jokic is phenomenal, but if he were dominant, I don't think that the Nuggets would have gone home as early as they did. When we had LeBron, or we had Kobe and Shaq, we had Tim Duncan and Tony Parker and Ginobili. We had teams that were really difficult to conquer, but that's not the case now. We have some excellent teams. Milwaukee, a couple of years ago, was outstanding. We saw that last year as well when we had the champion crown, and we certainly saw that this year with Boston. We've seen a series of teams reach a high level. The Nuggets a year ago, this year the Celtics, but not impenetrable. Even now, you're having people say the Celtics, as you mentioned, weren't really a great champion, even though they won 80 games. So I think that that's good for the league. I think this is as healthy as the competition has been in a very, very, very long time. It has always been tilted. And now with this group of players, and Indiana maybe not that far from joining them, I think you have a much more scintillating competition.
Usually the morning after the season ends, Mike, is when I take my first look at the NBA draft and all the mocks and who has everyone going there. We'll spend more time on it next week, but man, I could see why Bronny came out early. If there was a year he was going to get drafted earlier than he should, this is really the year. And how about Edey, too? I looked at a few this morning. They said Edey would no way he'd go in the first round a year ago. I seen him in places at 15, 17, on the fringe of the lottery. Suddenly, Edey has value, Mike.
Yeah, I think that's a great statement for the value of college basketball, for going when it's your time, for what NIL can do for you, Mike. You can stay in until it's your time, not, I have to go because I got to make some money playing this game before I get hurt or I lose my talent. I got to get it going. Now you can make that money as a collegian and then cash in as a first-round pick, as Zach Edey will.
Yeah, he certainly will. We'll do more, like I said, next week. Next Wednesday and Thursday, 2 days now for the NBA draft if they split in first round, second round. 30 seconds, Mike. More Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese over the weekend. I try not to do the whole thing with you this time. Angel can't figure it out. Special whistles, Mike.
Well, this one's on us as a media because it was just a foul, and they called it right.
Yeah.
And I don't blame her for making the play, and I don't even blame her for taking a shot. It wasn't cheap. It was basketball. This one's on the media, although she didn't maybe handle it the best in the interview session.
Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. We'll see you next week, Mike. Thanks.
Crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but you know, the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
To be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball-striking performance.
Yeah, you know, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to power in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogey, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
And we are back, Ferrall, coast to coast here on a Tuesday. Carver High and Cam Stewart in for Scotty on SportsGrid at SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. Cam, how are we looking out there in Germany? Are you doing okay? They must be at the half or close to it. 40th minute, still 0-0. 0-0 between Portugal and Czech. I guess they're Czechiko now, right?
Yeah, Chechnya. They call him Chechnya. I still call him the Czech Republic because I'm an old guy. But Chechnya. It's hard for me to get over that because used to the hockey, the Czech Republic versus USA, Czech Republic versus Canada. But Chechnya, I guess, is the new global term. But I got the under 2.5. It's goose eggs right now. We're in the 44th minute. Carver. So hopefully we can get to the half. We got a couple minutes of injury time, and then we'll see. Got that plus 340 draw looking very interesting. Portugal's been all over them, but the Czechs haven't wavered in their defensive wall. A lot of diving going on, too. A bunch of Greg Louganis is out there. A lot of Portuguese diving.
Indeed, from the Czech Chica. Let's hear from some of these guys from last night. Of course, we've been talking about the Celtics and the NBA season. They beat the Mavs 106-88. How about, Cam, before I even played a highlight, how about all 5 games being dead unders? I mean, not even close, any of the 5 games. Dead unders, all 5 of them. I can't remember that really ever, right, Cam? I mean, usually you get at least 1 or 2 that get over the line. For all 5 to be unders, I think it also speaks to really how unentertaining the final was, Cam. I think it speaks to that, too.
Good call, Carver, and a lot of blowouts, too, so blowouts tend to lead to unders. Gabe and I talked about it on the show last night. It was probably the worst NBA Finals and that in recent memory. Like, there's been it was just kind of like blah, like hockey for some reason. Like, we've always been all sports, but hockey, the games have been crazier. It's been more wild, but yeah, I can't remember a worse series, and probably good for the books. People like to bet overs, and games go under.
That is what they like, that's for sure. Let's hear the final call, of course. Last night, ABC ESPN with Mike Breen as the Celtics win championship number 18.
All the sacrifice, handling the enormous weight of massive expectations, ends tonight here. It's over. Time to say it again, Boston. Anything's possible. Banner number 18 has been secured. The Celtics are NBA champions.
Well done, Mike, there on the final call. I'm glad I got to hear it, Cam, because I certainly checked out for the fourth quarter last night as I flipped over to some of the baseball, chasing some dingers. I was not there for the fourth quarter of the Mavs and the Celtics.
You got children. I got to tell you, Mike, it's unbelievable, though. We talk about this with Sherapan when I come on with him and Ranieri and everybody else. I'm like, the Boston two-step is the only city that it works in. Like, if the Leafs win, the Jays will lose. Like for you, Knicks, Yankees, or whatever, or Mets, like, every time, Mike. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, thank God for sports books, because these Boston bookies would be in the harbor. I can tell you that. Like, unbelievable. Even the Red Sox are hot now. Like, it never stops.
And think of it this way. Cam, that there's probably plenty of people in the New England area who did a UConn and Celtics double for the NCAA title and the NBA title. And probably back in October, September, even when they were getting closer to March before the tournament, a lot of people probably put in that general region the Celtics and the Huskies to both win championships. So you're right. There probably was a lot of tickets cashed last night up in the New England area for all of that. We mentioned Jaylen Brown does win the NBA Finals MVP, so he does the double, wins the East Final and the NBA Final. Here is Brown, Cam, talking about the journey, and it was worth it all.
The story and the journey is awesome. Just being drafted here in Boston. Like, a lot of the people probably didn't watch me play out in the Pac-12 at Cal. So, it led to a lot of people, feeling a way about that. And, I just came in and kept my head down and told myself I'm going to just keep working. And, to be here in this moment now, through all the years, through all the doubt, through all of the ups and downs, through all of the adversity, through all of the everything, it just makes the story that much sweeter. But I can't even put it into words. Like,
wow, emotional.
It just feels great.
Very emotional, Cam. And listen, before I go on, I will say Cam's right. Not nobody saw. Cam loves those late night 11 o'clock East tips.
Washington State,
Cal and Washington State tipping off over there in Berkeley. I mean, he can't get enough of those. That's also what sucks about the Pac-12 being gone, is that we're going to lose those. Although now, Cam, it'll just be, those 11 o'clock East trips to Berkeley are now going to be made by, NC State in the ACC. They get to go play at 11 o'clock East.
And Carver will always have the Hawaii Degenerate Special, last game of the night.
We'll
That's not going anywhere.
We call
that,
Cam,
Hawaii.
the bailout blowout. Either the bailout blowout, late night with Hawaii. Cam, as far as Jaylen Brown goes, a lot of people, and I know Tatum has gotten, and we're going to get to him probably after the break. A lot of people said he's not worth the money. They gave him the $300 million. This guy, he shouldn't be named with the elites in the league, and he shouldn't have any of that. Cam, I guess that talk can now be put by the wayside because he's got something a lot of those other guys don't have, and that's an NBA Finals MVP, an NBA championship. Jaylen Brown can walk around now. He could peacock a little bit, Cam.
I agree, Carver. And the thing is, everyone always called him overrated and crap. Well, look how he played. He showed up in big games, and so did the Boston Celtics. So let's give that team a lot of credit. They got it done. They take care of business, and good for Brown. You know what I mean? A lot of people have always been down on him, but he earned his money, and congrats to the Celtics.
Congrats to the Celtics, indeed. They did a tremendous job. I'll play Tatum when we come back, Cam, is when I'll get Tatum into the mix. And I've got the zinger as well as Porzingis. He wasn't going to be left on the sideline, Cam, last night. Porzingis made sure that he got himself in that game and was able to participate. So we'll come back and we'll do those. We'll finish up the basketball. And then a coast-to-coast tradition, Cam, as well. We always have to look at the odds for next year's championship the day after a title is won in any sport. We always have to go and do that. Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Tuesday. Carver High and Cam for Scotty. We're back on the grid after this.
Crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
It'll be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to party in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogey, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
All right, we are back. Ferrall Coast to Coast here on a Tuesday. Carver High and Cam Stewart in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have you with us. BetMGM, they have got you set up for the soccer, man. I mean, you got to be kidding me here during the Euros and the Copa. Get in on the excitement of summer soccer with BetMGM's early payout markets. Avoid last-minute penalties and win your wager if a team takes a 2-goal lead. What do you got to do? Select any of Euro or Copa match you want to bet. Scroll to the match result market with the early payout tag within that match. Place a regular time bet on either team in the match result market. If they take a 2-goal lead, your bet will be paid out early a winner no matter the result of the match. Go to BetMGM.com or the BetMGM Sportsbook app to get the full details. We absolutely love that. You know, that is sweet right there. Getting 2 goals and then going right to the window, especially Cam, like that's an even better scenario. Like if you like a dog, let's say, you know, you get in there with a dog takes a little 2-goal lead, and then they end up, you know, losing 4-2. They get swamped in the second half. You know, that's a great spot to have that up to early payout. So nice job by BetMGM. Cam is not looking for that this afternoon. He's looking for a 1-1 draw.
Yes.
But in
the future, I have no problem with that, so we can hit it on all sides. Honestly, when you get paid with a 2-goal lead, like I remember, like I'm like, thank you. Hockey sometimes too, like, you know what I mean, Carver. Then you could just hit these things so many damn ways. It's a beautiful thing.
Here is Jason Tatum, Cam, as we're going to get to the end of all this NBA Finals stuff. He has also taken a lot of criticism, couldn't get it done, blah, 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 blah. Another guy, you can't say that about him anymore. Here he is.
Coming up short and having failures makes this moment that much better. Because you know what it feels like to lose. You know what it feels like to be on the other side of this and be in a locker room and hearing the other team celebrate and having them celebrate on your home floor. Like, that was devastating. And now to elevate yourself in a space that, you know, all your favorite players are in, right? Everybody that they consider greats or legends have won a championship, and all the guys I looked up to won a championship, multiple championships. So now I can like walk in those rooms and be a part of that. It's a hell of a feeling. This is more. I dreamed about what it would be like, but this is 10 times better.
You know, he's right about that, Cam. It seems like the NBA, kind of more than others, the amount that they put on how many titles you've won as a player, it seems to have a little bit more gas at the end of your career than it does in other sports for whatever reason.
Well, less guys, right, Carver? Like in hockey, there's more players. In other sports, more players. You know what I mean? In and out. So basketball, you look at like a shorter amount of teammates that you have. And great point by him. Like, look at the Florida Panthers. This is a team that lost earlier. You got to lick your wounds, man. That's the thing. You got to lose before you know how to win. So it's a good point. You like to take those teams that usually lose in the finals and come back to them because they got a little more hunger heading into the season.
They certainly do. And last one from the world champion Celtics now is the zinger. Kristaps Porzingis, of course, was one of the pieces that they added. I thought that Drew Holiday was really the piece that put them over the top in terms of only guy on the team, Cam, and I was reading through all of them last night. He's the only guy that had won an NBA championship before last night. Everyone else on that Celtic roster, this is the first time that they've tasted victory. I think Holiday was a huge part of that. Let's quickly hear from the zinger. He wasn't missing the closeout game.
I was like, I don't know how I'm going to play, if I'm going to play, but my mindset was always like, I'm going to try to find a way how I can manage this. And yeah, somehow I got it going for this game. And a lot of it was for sure like the adrenaline from just playing at the Garden and playing in front of our fans and having that opportunity to close it out. And man, I got it going.
The zinger. Getting
great
out
call,
there
Carver.
for the end.
Great call by Holiday, though. He was the glue that kept everything together. He did all the little things. So you watch those games, everybody else gets the name. He's just one of those guys. He's the key. He's a winner. So I think that was absolutely huge. Great observation by you with the Celtics, because without him, I think things could have been different.
He is what changed that team. You know, I think that Porzingis was a big deal as well. He allowed them to do some different things. But in terms of leadership, defense, the stuff that Holiday did, it helped Milwaukee win. I know Giannis gets the credit there, but Holiday was a big part of Milwaukee winning. He was a huge part of Boston winning this championship as well. All right, we got hour number 2 next. Elvis will be in the building from South Florida. Denny Bernstein to kick us off. Oilers Panthers coming up tonight. We're back coast to coast after this.